Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. Now I know Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire have been released already, but I still have a couple of these battle videos backlogged from X and Y that I thought were really great, so I wanted to upload a couple of those before I get into some more Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire battles. So this battle is against an opponent by the name of Fabian, who is a frequent viewer on my stream, and we decided to have some kind of weird mixed tier match. But we all brought a bunch of really fun things, and personally, the one thing that I wanted to show off in this video, which you'll actually see a lot of in this video, is my Honchkrow, which is a specially based Honchkrow. And you'll kind of see how it works, but it more or less relies on the use of the move Air Cutter, which is now a base 60 power move, so it's on par with Hidden Power Flying if you were to run a special flying type attack. But Air Cutter has the benefit of having an increased critical hit chance, which, if you know, Honchkrow also possesses the Super Luck ability, and with the new 6th gen mechanics with how critical hits work, this basically means that Honchkrow has a 50% chance to crit with this move every single time it goes for it, which you will see a lot of in this match. So with that, let's get started and see how things go. So to start things off, I decided to lead off with my Quagsire as my opponent leads off with his Gallade. Now, Gallades can sometimes pack the Leaf Blade, so I was very worried in this situation, so I immediately actually switched out first turn, but it turns out he also switches out first turn, which just tells me right away that he doesn't have it, which is really good information for later. But I figured the best thing to take this Leaf Blade and work in a matchup with Gallade was going to be my Honchkrow, and thankfully for me, when he double switched, he went out into something that was equally weak to Honchkrow, so I go for my first Air Cutter of the game and get a critical hit, which is going to be a theme of this battle, as you are going to see. So this is also kind of an unfavorable matchup though, so I go out actually into my Bronzong, and this is actually a special Bronzong. It's actually a Calm Mind set, which I have gotten to use a couple times. I absolutely love this set. It's just very rare that I get to use it, but it ends up working out really well in this case because he burns me, and normally if I was a physical set that would have been an issue, but because I'm just going to go for Psychic right here, it's actually going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to this Braviary as he switches in, which is saying something because Braviary actually has some pretty nice natural bulk to it because it's kind of like, I guess it's like one of the bulkiest normal birds in the game. But he can't do anything to me. He was probably predicting Earthquake there, which is why he went into it in the first place. But being a Steel type and being matched up against a Braviary is just a bad matchup for Braviary every single time. It does often have, superpower for that, but because of the Psychic typing, I kind of mitigate that weakness. But he goes right into his Flareon right here, and this is just a terrible matchup for me. One, because he's specially defensive, and two, obviously because he has a super effective Fire type move to use against me. So I'm going to have to switch out here and save this Bronzong for later, go out into my Quagsire right here, and this kind of isn't a good thing right here because he does burn me with the Lava Plume, but either way I do wall the attack he was going for, and I think this was at the point that I still had Swagger on my Quagsire with Unaware because I kind of used that little gimmick right there to kind of confuse people and then have them take extra damage, but they couldn't do any more damage to me because I had Unaware, but that has been since banned since I used this. So I go for the Ice Punch right here, actually predicting the switch, which is really cool in like a sense of, hey, I predicted you, but it also didn't do any damage at all, so it didn't really matter. So I'm gonna have to switch out here and bring in something to take the predicted Seed Flare, but he actually switches out as well, trying to predict me to maybe go into Honchkrow right here because obviously Tentacruel was doing a really good job of walling it. But I actually decided to go out into my Hitmonchan this time, in case he did want to sub and go for Leech Seed or something. I could still maybe take an attack decently well because I am a Salt Vest, but this actually just turns out to be really bad as well because Drain Punch, he probably has Liquid Ooze, and I don't want to get burned by Scald, so I'm going to have to switch out in here into my Bronzong and just kind of sacrifice it. But either way, I got off a good bit of damage on the Braviary and was able to kind of scout for what he was doing with some of his other Pokemon while having this thing out in the field, so it did turn out to be pretty useful. But obviously, good matchup for me, bringing my Jolteon after Bronzong goes down, free Volt Switch, and as you're going to see right here, I do get a critical hit, which does lead this to do a little bit more damage than it should have, but it also, more importantly, tells me that this is an Assault Vest Gallade, because if that was a crit, the amount of damage that I did with the regular Volt Switch would have been pretty much negligible, but this allows me to freely go out into my Honchkrow right now, which is really great, because again, I get to go for another Air Cutter, and this one also crits. Now, I believe out of all the Air Cutters I went for in this match, only 2 do not crit, which is really cool. And if you're wondering a bit more about this set, I'm actually not running the Razor Claw or Scope Lens on it to crit every single time. I feel like Leftovers is a little bit more useful just because this Pokemon is Stealth Rock weak. But I'm also running Heat Wave, Sucker Punch, and I forget what Hidden Power, but it might... Oh, Dark Pulse, actually. I'm not running Hidden Power anymore. But yeah, Go for the air cutter right here as he tries to wish pass into Shaman. Unfortunately, I don't take him out, which kind of stinks. If I was life orbed, I definitely would have, but unfortunately I'm not, or expert belt actually. But he's asked to switch out right here again, and I'm going to have to just keep going for air cutters, because honestly at this point I have no reason not to. Now that one also did not crit, but as you're going to see in the next coming turns, I'm just going to keep going for it because I noticed that it did roughly 30% before it, and at this point I really don't want anything else taking a Scald unless it really has to. But unfortunately he gets another burn this time, but again, that's why you use Scald. And to not take any more damage, because I know that I'm going to need this thing for later to possibly deal with the Gallade, I'm going to switch out into Jolteon right now, because Jolteon does have some natural special bulk to it, and again, if this thing does get burned, I don't care as much because it's a special attacker. Thankfully I don't, and this is just another chance for me to freely Volt Switch right here, which I do, and I'm able to actually take out the Tentacruel, which, as you've been seeing, was something that has been proving to be kind of a big threat to Honchkrow so far, and now that that is gone, that means that Honchkrow has more opportunities to potentially sweep. But I decided to go out into my Tyrantrum, mainly because I hadn't gotten the chance to use this thing in an extremely long time, and this is a defensive like lead Tyrantrum, if you want to think of it that way. So I do have the Stealth Rock on it. Go for it right now because he has quite a few things on his team that are Stealth Rock weak, and I also noticed that he didn't have anything that would have Defog, probably because of the way that he brought Braviary in. I didn't see any leftovers on it, so he's probably not running it on that. It's probably like a Scarfed or Banded set. I do lose Tyrantrum here, but the amount of damage that Stealth Rock is going to rack up throughout the course of the battle is probably more than enough than it was able to do, even if I were to just go for a Rock type attack. But I bring in Jolteon right here, and I know he's going to switch because he has to, unless he wants to lose the Swanna. So I go for the Shadow Ball, does a really good bit of damage, and it does basically about half of what health he had after he switched in on Stealth Rock. So I doubt that that special defense drop I just got mattered, but I just go for another Shadow Ball again, which is easily going to take out this Shaman and put me at a pretty good position right here, because anything else that he has in his team I match up pretty well against. Now, as you're going to see, the Stealth Rock's definitely 100% helped out right here. Life Orb Thunderbolt is going to be more than enough to take out a Flareon from that range, even though he is specially defensive, and we kind of have a little bit of a Jolteon stealing the show right here, but that's going to change very quickly. I'm going to have to switch out right here because he obviously is going to go for the Shadow Sneak. I'm going to go into my Quagsire right here, knowing from before that he does not have the Leaf Blade, and also his Shaman is gone now, which means that anything that would normally threaten this Quagsire, which would be the Shaman, is now gone, which is really cool for me. He's going to go for the Close Combat though, and this is going to do a lot of damage. Now I do live this, but me trying to think that I was going to take that a lot better went for the Recover, but unfortunately, even with the fact that I was still able to live that with 2 HP, it's not going to matter at this point because burn damage is going to kick in, and then Close Combat is just going to take me out on this following turn. But either way, Quagsire was definitely what I needed to switch into right here, so basically I could get a safe switch now into my Honchkrow right here, which is going to yet again go for the Air Cutter. He's going to switch into Braviary to try and take this, but as you've been seeing, go for the Air Cutter and I get another critical hit, and obviously the Stealth Rock damage definitely helped out there, took him down to like half health, so that was definitely like a multi-Pokemon kill there between Bronzong Psychic, the rocks from Tyrantrum, and then the Air Cutter there. But he's going to go into Swanna right here, and again, I know that I need this to deal with Gallade. That's just what I need this thing for. So I'm going to switch out. I go out into my Hitmonchan here. This is not a good matchup whatsoever because of the potential Air Slash or Hurricane, but I just need a safe switch into my Jolteon on the following turn. And he's going to go for the Hurricane. Thankfully he hits it. If he did not hit that, I would have been really upset because I would have actually went for another Mach Punch, and then he would have KO'd himself to Life Orb, which wouldn't have been nearly as exciting. So I'm going to go into my Jolteon one last time, go for the Shadow Ball, this time just in case he wanted to switch out into Gallade, and that would have obviously hit it super effectively, and at that range, anything was going to kill that Swanna. He's going to bring in Gallade here though. Shadow Sneak is imminent, but I don't care about that right now because this Jolteon going down means that I now get a free switch back out into my Honchkrow, which has been such an essential part of my team thus far in this battle, and go for one final Air Cutter, and just for the sake of old times, I get another critical hit, which is going to take out this Gallade, giving me the victory in the battle. So thank you so much, Fabian, for having the battle with me and putting up with my Honchkrow shenanigans. It was definitely really close, so that was really fun. I love mixed tier. That's one of my favorite ways to play this game, and it's just so much fun to see such a variety of Pokemon in one battle, and I hope you enjoyed it as well, and enjoyed my Honchkrow antics. So everybody, that is it for this video. As always, stay tuned for more, and take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.